the Architect Lens, the Salesforce Education Cloud Consultant Certification. Today we're going to dive into the Salesforce Education Cloud Consultant Certification. Now, I dove into this with a background of having done multiple university level projects. I've done graduate projects for graduate school, and I've done projects at the university, online university level. However, in both cases, we built up object models not using the education cloud constructs. So I'm coming into this with a deep understanding of the object models for online, education at the college level, but not as much with what was offered through the package and definitely not at the K through 12. So this was fun to both dive in, learn new things while re-experiencing the data models that I had kind of built up from scratch with those dev teams. So I'm going to take you through what I learned on the Education Cloud Consultant Certification and what I think is important as an architect. So we're going to start here with the Salesforce Consultant. We're going to come down to the Education Cloud Consultant. And we're going to drop down to the trail, preparing for your Salesforce. This was a big one, 24 hours according to this. So what we're going to be doing, and I completed the whole trail in prep for the exam. And so we're going to start working our way through. So we have high-level summaries of education. This talks about the Student Success Hub. We're talking about creating the dashboard, being able to do alerts, appointments, queue management, student portal. And I've helped, coordinate and consult, and it's really neat to see a lot of this capabilities into the package that's offered for people without having to build it up from the ground up. Student Hub. So there's a lot of great capabilities. Now, I was especially interested in going into the K through 12 capabilities, seeing the Student Success Hub, alerts and case management, exploring the success teams and the success plans, and then the standard reports and dashboards. So again, the K through 12 was new to me. The university and graduate school was familiar. So it was great to dive in, learn these topics. Now, when you come into the alumni engagement, this is where you start to see bringing them in, personalize, giving them, and this starts to overlap into the NPSP world, the nonprofit world for soliciting donations. But you start to see how you can empower your alumni with a community. Now here we're looking at a little customization to the EDA, where you can add in the student ID and learning about EDA and its data model and how people are enhancing it for their specific use cases. So just adding a specific student ID to the contact. And then coming into the accounting subledger. This seemed very familiar with the NPSP world, being able to bring in and deal with the subledger. And now let's take a look at constituent management with EDA. And as we look here at constituent management, we can see standard constructs that we're familiar with, contacts and accounts. Then we start to take the more complex object models, creating things as affiliations. And affiliations is going to be links between the contacts to other accounts, besides just through the primary linkage. This also allows us to start looking at relationships, which we've seen if we do any financial services, householding projects, which I've done a number of, where you're creating the concept of households. This creates the concept of a reciprocal relationship model between where somebody is that one relationship says that someone's your husband, and then there is a second record which says that the other person is your wife. So it creates the concept of bidirectional relationships. And I thought that was really interesting, seeing how they've implemented this with the bidirectional. I've set up relationships that represented the both directions. Here, what they're doing is they're creating a one-way pointer from one person to the target, and then creating a reciprocal one from the target back again. And this was an interesting way to solve a data model. And then we're going to have, of course, students and programs and courses and demographics, which are very straightforward at the collegiate level. Now this at the K through 12 was interesting, knowing about the architecture kit and how you would configure the K through 12, being able to set it up, setting up the app launcher, the tabs, the favorites, but it's very familiar from a Salesforce app perspective. You can take a look at the data model and start to get familiar, which is pretty straightforward with household object options, where you can link multiple people under the object under a household. So being able to determine that, creating family members, how they can connect to each other. Pretty straightforward capabilities at the page layouts and the highlight. This is all pretty straightforward. And then a set of reports and dashboards. So this is all very straightforward capabilities using the Salesforce platform. Now, if you're going to use the EDA object model, then you're going to need to go about how to set up the departments and the academic programs. From here, you're going to be setting the courses, terms, and course offerings. And again, I had done data modeling, not with EDA, but at the university level. And we have very similarly named objects. So this was all very straightforward. But again, this is great to dive into and see the constructs, term, course offering, and how you can create the course using standard objects, the term, the course offering. So this is all very straightforward. Now you start to get into the facilities and the time blocks, so you can manage the exact wins of the classes. There was some donor management. Again, that sounds a lot like NPSB, managing donations. And there's our accounting subledger, learning how to move some documentation. There's the EDA. So spent some time diving in to the EDA. So if you're going to use EDA, definitely be into this help. Go into the getting started, setting up the security, setting up the school data, and work your way through all these elements of the EDA implementation. And also at the K through 12, go through these. If you're going to do the K through 12, follow these links through like I did and dive into it. Now this workbook on the Power of Us Hub was very helpful, coming through in here, going through the introduction, working your way through the step-by-step plan, showing the object model, the overview, the object overview. So I spent time diving deep. So I really enjoyed this worksheet. It was very helpful. And talking about when you do or don't want to use the EDA data model and common implementation approaches and readiness. Now we're moving into consultant level capabilities, which transcend education, from being a general consultant, knowing about user acceptance testing, knowing about large data volumes. You need to come in and look at the initiatives back to EDA. Single org versus multi-org, being familiar with that approach. Then we have Center of Excellence. This is all straightforward Salesforce architect level capabilities, release schedules. Now we're getting into solution design. So being comfortable with the user licenses, admissions connect. So this gets you through the admissions process. And again, I'd worked on an education facility where these were custom objects. So it was neat to see the admissions connect, the territories, the requirements, setting up the process and the portal. And then also looking at the open source commons for a lot of the code base and getting into the buy versus build and diving into there. And there is a lot of this general overlap with general architect point of view, such as technical project management, large data volumes, data insights, some EDA specific reports, donor insights, Tableau, and as such. So the neat thing about diving in, you can see the object model of EDA, how they've implemented certain approaches in the data model. You can also see how you can learn those constructs about the household model and other constructs that you could bring into other implementations. So again, very neat to see these constructs for both the K through 12 and the university level. And I enjoy this certification, and then just being general consultant level. So if you have done education or you're thinking about doing education, I highly recommend this certification. So I hope you enjoyed the excellent education. Join me again, same bat time, same bat channel. You got www.SteveTechArc.com and YouTube at SteveTechArc. Have a great day.